Hey everyone, today we're going to explore a really powerful philosophy for creativity, and it's hidden in a pretty surprising place, the lyrics of a song. Alison McLean's We're Playing to Play is basically a guide to focusing on the journey, not the destination. So let's dive in and see what we can learn from it.
Just stop and think about that for a second. We are constantly being measured by our results, right? Grades, promotions, sales targets, finish lines, you name it. But this question just flips that whole idea on its head. What if the real value, the actual joy, is found somewhere else entirely? And there it is, the song's beautifully simple answer. The whole point of the activity is the activity itself. It's a huge shift in perspective. You're just engaging in the process because the process itself is valuable. Not for a trophy, not for applause, but just for the sake of playing. So what does this actually look like when you're doing it? Because this isn't just a catchy phrase, It's a whole philosophy that can reframe how we approach basically everything, from our work to our hobbies. It's all about shifting our focus from the outcome to the process. This slide really breaks it down perfectly. You've got playing to win, and let's be honest, that's kind of our default setting. It's all about the end goal, which leads to this fear of messing up and these super rigid plans. But then there's playing to play. That's about focusing on the moment, really embracing the process, and being open to whatever you might discover along the way. Okay, that sounds amazing in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you find that creative spark if you're not chasing some specific result? Well, believe it or not, the lyrics give us a surprisingly practical roadmap. This is the song's brilliant little formula for creativity. It's not about waiting around for some lightning bolt of genius to strike. No, it starts small. You take these little steps every day. That creates movement, and that movement builds momentum. You start to ride that wave, and it's only then, once you're already in motion, that inspiration shows up. And this is the real kicker. That bigger plan isn't something you figure out at the start. It actually comes out of the work itself. You don't force it, you just create the right conditions for it to find you. It's a total reversal of how we're usually taught to think about big projects. Of course, this path isn't always a walk in the park. Stepping away from a rigid plan means you're stepping into the unknown. And yeah, that can be pretty scary. So the next part of the song tackles this head on. It talks about the fear and uncertainty that are just, part of the deal. What a powerful image, right? The song doesn't say avoid the dark or run from the shadows of doubt. Nope. It actually encourages us to go there, to play right in that space of uncertainty, to see it not as something to be afraid of, but as just part of the territory. And how are we supposed to react when we meet that fear? Not with anxiety, not by fighting back, but with a smile. A gentle smirk. That's a wild idea. It's suggesting we meet our own doubts with this sense of lightness and curiosity, maybe even a little bit of playful confidence. It just completely disarms the fear before it can grab hold. So what's the payoff? What happens when you start taking those small steps and learn to greet your fears with a smile? Well, you unlock this incredible sense of freedom. And that freedom, that's the ultimate reward of this whole mindset. And there it is, laid out plain and simple. The goal is freedom. Freedom from that crushing weight of expectation. When you aren't attached to a specific outcome, to anything more, you're finally free to just play, to explore, to make mistakes, and to follow your curiosity wherever it might take you. The lyrics call this a variation in life's contemplation. I absolutely love that phrasing. It suggests this whole approach is just about allowing for little variations, for detours from the path you thought you were on. And it's in those detours, those unexpected moments, that we usually find the most interesting stuff. It's a mindset of pure flexibility and wonder. Okay, so we finally reached the climax of the song's whole philosophy. This is the big idea that ties everything together. It's the ultimate breakthrough that makes this entire way of thinking not just possible, but really, really powerful. Just let that sink in for a minute. Imperfection is perfection. In a world that is just relentlessly chasing flawlessness, that statement is basically an act of rebellion. It's not saying that sloppy work is good. It's saying the authentic, the human, the often messy process, that is the perfect state to be in. So why is this so powerful? Well, think about it. When imperfection is actually the goal, the paralysis of perfectionism just disappears. The fear of failure shrinks because a mistake is now just an interesting variation. All of a sudden, you're free to embrace the entire journey,
the rough drafts, the wrong turns, and find the beauty right there, in the middle of the process.
So we'll leave you with this thought. We've seen that consistent, small steps can lead to big inspiration, and that true freedom comes from letting go of the outcome. The only question left is, if you're not playing to win, what will you play for? What process are you going to fall in love with? Thanks for tuning in.